at about 10:02. Andrew has started the recording, and he'll put up the slide deck shortly. We always like to give a couple of minutes for everyone, and so we'll get started at about 10:02.
Can everybody see the slide deck?
All right, it's 10:02. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to our most recent edition of the Arkansas Broadband Leaders Network, ABLN. Today is, well, first, I wanted to give a shout out to our team here at AR Connect at the Broadband office, Kimberly and Lane and Andrew and Emma. I was out for the 2 weeks prior to this week, and they did a tremendous job for our team and for the state. So I want to thank them for their hard work. Pound for pound, I said this in the meeting we had earlier this morning, pound for pound, I put our team up against any in the country. We have a really, really good staff with great talent, and they're hard workers. And so I want to thank them for all of their hard work the last 2 weeks before this week. And all the time, they work hard all the time. So thank them for their service to the state of Arkansas. So again, we're going to get started today. It's a subject meeting. It's week B in our alternating meetings that we do this week. We're going to talk about the BEAD program. We have a very special guest from the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA, the agency within the U.S. Department of Commerce that is administering the BEAD program at the federal level. And so we'll hear from him shortly on all things BEAD program and a couple of other topics. And so we thought it would be good to bring in a federal person and someone that you all know probably, but I thought it would be good to have him come in and present the federal perspective and be available to answer your questions. I'm sure as best he can, and if he can't, he'll get back to you. So we'll talk with him shortly. All right, so quick agenda for today, some updates from our team. Then we'll have a presentation from NTIA, and we'll talk about, 2 weeks from today, we'll try to do, well, 2 weeks from today would be Friday after Thanksgiving, I think. That's correct. So probably not going to have one 2 weeks from today, but we'll do something and get a date set for everybody on the next meeting. All right, and Andrew's letting everybody know that I am back. So again, got married a couple weeks ago. 3 weeks later, still married, so making progress. This is good, and I'm glad to be back in Arkansas. Look, you hit about the 2 week mark, and I'll be honest, I was ready to come home. I will say, spending a couple of weeks over in Spain, personally, from my opinion, talked about this with the team yesterday. tapas or tapas, whatever. It's overrated. Not that good. And in my opinion, the Spaniards have a lot of work to do on papaya. Sort of pseudo jambalaya thing that they make, also very overrated. So they got some work to do across the pond for those folks. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to be with everyone. So, yeah, Mississippi County formed their broadband committee. Now we're at 46. So we're counting them down. We're going to keep going. We want all 75 counties to have an active broadband committee, and so we're at 46 now. We're actually going to tee up sort of a second round and second version of our county tour. We're going to go back. The ones that need a little bit of additional help and encouragement, we're going to go back again and visit with them and present again and help them get off the ground. Look, this is critically important, not only for the challenge process that's going to come up in the next couple of months. These, county committees, some form of them, needs to be active in this space for the next several years. Okay, these things. So critically important for the state. We're going to keep going until all of every county has one. And so we look forward to getting back on the road and visiting the counties that we need to visit again and helping getting off the ground. So y'all can look forward to that. Initial proposal, volume 1 is still out for public comment until next Saturday. So next Saturday, November 18th, is going to be the last day that we will accept official public comments on the volume 1 document. Okay, again, volume 1, the main substantive topic in volume 1 is the challenge process, where internet service providers and nonprofit organizations and units of local government have the ability to challenge which areas and locations around the state are going to be eligible for BEAD funding. Okay, so that's the volume 1 outlines the process of what that will look like. Remember, okay, so again, we're going to accept public comments through next Saturday, and then we'll package that up. We will respond to every comment that we have received and incorporate any changes that we think make it better. Okay, so please, if you haven't, please comment on it. The document itself and the comment form are located on our website at broadband.arkansas.gov. So please go there, please comment if you haven't already. If you have, add some more comments, that's fine too. We will respond to everyone, and we're going to take everyone's comments into consideration, and where we think we can make it better, we'll do that. Okay, so it's very important. Real quick, it's not on the slide, but volume 2, we received sign off from the governor's team either late Wednesday or early yesterday. I can't remember exactly which. The governor's team has signed off on the document draft that's currently in existence, and so that will go out for public comment. It could go today. It's more likely to be Monday or Tuesday. But as soon as that does go public for public comment, we will let everyone know. We'll send an email alert for everyone. It's also going to be posted on our website. The public comment form will also be posted on our website, just like volume 1. And so as soon as that goes public, we'll let everybody know. There's a 30-day comment period for that as well. And volume 1, remember, we talked about the challenge process and what that's going to look like beginning Q1 of next year. Volume 2 is essentially, think about the ARC grant program version 2.0. Okay, so how is the state, how is our office going to operate the ARC program moving forward? That is the crux of volume 2. Okay, very important. It's a lot longer. Volume 1, I think, is about 24-ish pages, 23, 24 pages overall. Volume 2 is over 100 pages. It's very, very detailed. It's very intricate, and it needs to be. This is a critically important topic for the state. And so just to prepare you for that. So it's a longer document, okay? But we look forward to hearing your feedback on that as well. All right.
So yeah,
go
I'll
ahead,
stop
Andrew.
sharing now and pass it over to Philip Powell.
Yeah, so Philip Powell, Arkansas's Federal Program Officer for U.S. Department of Commerce / NTIA, is going to be our presenter today for the subject of the BEAD program. He's got a great presentation lined up for you, and so we look forward to that. He'll take questions as well, I think. I talked about that a little bit earlier, so he'll do that. Philip, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Glenn. Hi, everyone. As they mentioned, I'm Philip Powell. I'm the Federal Program Officer for the state of Arkansas under the NTIA. I came in this role, it's been about 2 months now, actually. Before that, I was with Arkansas Farm Bureau for 2.5 years. I dealt a lot with rural broadband access. That's how I got involved into this. And I currently live in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I'm here in the state. We do not have an office in Arkansas. I work from home, and my job is to be the liaison for the state to NTIA and helping guide them through this process. So I will share my screen here and give you all a presentation. I'll try not to be too long. I know it's Friday morning, so let me get this going. And is everybody able to see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it, Philip.
Great. Awesome. All right. So let me get going here. So first, yeah, so BEAD, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. This also is a digital equity program, but this slide is going to focus more on the BEAD program. And what I'm going to do is give you all a background of what this is, how NTIA is involved, and how y'all can be a part of this process. Get this going here. Okay. There we go. All right. All right, here we go. So the funding for BEAD comes from the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed on November 15, 2021. Everyone's probably heard of this bill. This is where the funding is coming from. And so this is all about infrastructure, and broadband is a big part of this. And so I'm not going to read off the slide, but this is really where the funding is coming from. The IJA Act passed by Congress, and this law puts out the framework for how the funding will work. So with the bipartisan infrastructure law, puts out $65 billion for the country in broadband access, and they wanted to make sure this money is used to build out high-speed internet access for today and tomorrow. The point of the funding is to make sure that when we spend this money, we're going to do it so that everyone will continue to have reliable high-speed internet access, and also make it so that it's affordable. So as you can see on the slide, the NTIA is the administrator for the funding, and the BEAD program total got $42.5 billion, and that will be spread across all 50 states and territories, such as the Virgin Islands or Guam. I mean, some places I never heard of will get some of this money. But Arkansas, as everybody knows, is getting $1 billion, so just shy of just north of $1 billion. And so that's exciting. I'm glad we're getting a lot of money to get the job done. So here's how BEAD funding works. So basically, every state will have access to this along with the territories. And so the funding is to be used to plan the project, to figure out where the gaps are in the country, to deploy or upgrade internet service. You probably heard a lot about how you have unserved and underserved, and that's based on speeds. It used to be the 25.3 speed was the standard, but NTIA wants it to be 100 by 20 speeds. So even if an area already has internet service, if it falls under the 100 by 20 threshold, that would still be eligible to be upgraded to that. And they also use the funding for workforce and job training. We spend all this money. It's no good if people don't know how to use the internet or don't understand the impact of internet. So we also want to make sure that states are in a position where, when they receive the funding, they can train a workforce to deploy the funding, to deploy the internet service. And so you'll see on the bottom of the slide here, this kind of an idea of how the timing works. Right now, you can look on just after between 23 and 24, where we are right now. states are working on their initial proposal. As Glenn mentioned, Volume 1's been out for Arkansas, and as he mentioned, Volume 2 should be out shortly. What the states have to do to get the funding, they have to submit to NTIA the initial proposal, which consists of Volume 1 and 2, and that is their plan for how they will spend this money. And then, so after NTIA approves this, there's a 4-year implementation timeline. So, we're talking, so by 2028, 2029, everyone in the state of Arkansas should have access to internet. And so, as with the goals of the program, I touched on a little bit about this, but it's making sure everyone has access, but it's also making sure that people can afford this access, especially low-income households, and making sure it's sustainable so that people can always afford this. And then we also want to make sure that we can find the inequities across sectors: healthcare, workforce, agriculture, education. We will make sure all of those sectors are benefiting from this. And so, as the BEAD program does require complete coverage of unserved and underserved location, and so as I mentioned, the 25 upload speeds, 3 download speeds is no longer the standard. We're looking at 100 by 20 speeds. And we also, NTIA encourages the states and territories to look at community anchor institutions. And I know Glenn's talked a lot about this in previous meetings. Community anchor institutions are like your schools, libraries, hospitals, anything that institutions that provide value to the community. And so that's part of the plan, to make sure they have the internet access so they can continue to serve their communities. So this is where the county committees are very important because it helps the local governments get involved in this program and collaborate with the state office. So, y'all know on the ground, y'all know best where your areas are lacking internet service, and you advocate for those people in your communities. So, as Glenn mentioned earlier, the challenge process. So, the challenge process is probably one of the most important things in this whole project, because this is where the state can find out what areas are served and are not served. And we all know about the FCC maps, and the FCC maps aren't perfect, but they are being updated so that when the state does run this challenge process, it will have the most up-to-date FCC maps. They'll be used for the basis. But that doesn't mean that they will show every area. They might have some areas that say they're served, and maybe they're not, or some areas that show up as not served, but maybe they are served. And that's where y'all come into play. You're the ones on the ground that know what areas are covered and not covered. And so I'm going to go into more detail about the challenge process, but this is why it's important. And the point of the BEAD funding is to make sure that every person in every state has access to internet when this is all said and done. So you might know this, the FCC challenge process. You can go on the website right now, the FCC website, look at your area, you can challenge that. But this is going to be different from how the BEAD challenge process will work. The BEAD timelines, this will be up to the state to run this process, and it will be a 90-day process. So as Glenn mentioned, they like to get it out as soon as possible, early next year. And it'll be out for 90 days, and that'll be the opportunity for everyone to look on the latest maps and to decide whether or not to challenge a location is served, unserved, or underserved. And so this is how the roles will work. NTIA does not run the challenge process. That is all run by the state. The state will have control over this process. NTIA's job is really to validate the results of the process. After the state has ran the process, NTIA will validate it to make sure Arkansas did what it needed to do, and then so they can keep moving. So the eligible challengers in this process will be you have your local government, your nonprofits, and your broadband service providers. So for the local government, this is where the county committees are very helpful because whether it's a county judge or the mayor, they can't do this on their own. They can't just go out there and try to find everyone who's not being served. The county committees are very helpful because you all represent the whole county. You represent the different towns, the unincorporated areas, and you're able to work with your county judge or your mayor. And also, the challenge process, it doesn't have to be the county judge directly. The county judge can designate someone to represent the county, and same for the mayor to go through and check the maps to submit the challenges. So, yeah, so like I said, the challengers should be watching out for the maps. And if you're not a challenger, that's where you need to contact your local government, nonprofit, or the ISP. And that's why it's important. And I was happy to hear Mississippi County formed a committee. It'd be great if we can have all 75. And I know Glenn has done a great job going around the state talking about this. I will mention if you're a part of a county committee and say your neighboring county doesn't have a committee set up, maybe reach out to someone in that neighboring county to see how you can help with that process. Because I know there can be a lot of areas where you have towns that cross counties, and so that could be helpful. So think about how just not about your county, but your surrounding area. So here's kind of how the timeline works under the BEAD program. Right now, everyone's in the public comment period, which, and as Glenn mentioned, volume 1 runs out next Saturday. So NTIA requires every state to put out their volumes for public comment for 30 days. So once Arkansas puts out volume 2 for public comment, there'll be a 30-day period. So so everybody can comment on those. You'll have to be government or ISP or nonprofit to comment on these. These are meant for the public. And so as Glenn mentioned, hopefully run the challenge process early next year. And then after the challenge process is completed, so NTIA will approve everything. And then at that point, the state, once everything's approved, the state will have 365 days to pick its sub-grantees, to pick the providers. So the state has 365 days to pick. They'll put out the whole map. And I know in Arkansas has been done, the grant program has been done before where they do it by regions or counties. But this time, the whole state will be put out for the providers to select what areas they want to work on. And they'll take a year for that. Go ahead,
And
Glenn. Yeah.
yeah, and real quick, just to jump in very briefly is, yeah, 365 days, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a very tight timeline. And not only do we have to award the entire state of Arkansas every single home and business that needs to get built to for the first time or upgraded, right, across the entire state within 365 days. Should we have any money left over? So remember, we're going to get about $1 billion. Let's say we can award the construction for $700 or $800 million, right? That means we could have a little money left over. Also, within the same 365-day timeline, we then have to also award digital opportunity fund grants as well. So it's not just getting the infrastructure done. We also have to award non-deployment awards if we have any money left over in the same time frame. So I just wanted to let everyone know that, and we'll have more information about that later on.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Glenn. Yeah, and that's the non-deployment funds. Yeah, then that'll be important too, as Glenn's gone around the state talking about the opportunities that can be used with these funding, to help enhance industries. I know Glenn's talked a lot about telemedicine and things like that. So yeah, hopefully that's why $1 billion is great. I know some states didn't get enough money, so Arkansas is very lucky due to the work Glenn has done, showing how much we need that money and the extra money to get the job done. So yeah, how y'all can get involved. The local government, as I said, is one of the 3 eligible challenges. So, make sure I know a lot of county judges and county officials are involved with these committees, and you're the ones that speak for your area. Since individuals cannot submit a challenge, this is where they can go to the committee or the mayor or the judge and so the local government can aggregate challenges. So this doesn't mean that every household in the county has to submit something. You can do if you have I'll call a census block area, but if you can get 5 or 6 homes in a certain area, that would be enough to challenge an area. You don't have to have every single person in the neighborhood submitting the challenge. And I wanted to mention that because I know this can seem overwhelming, but you do not need to have every single person. You just need to have a representation of the area for that. And that's pretty much all I had. But I'm happy to take questions, and yeah, feel free to jump in, Glenn.
Yeah, real quick on the challenge process. Look, it can be overwhelming. I want especially our county committee folks that are on the call today to know we're going to put out ahead of time. We're going to have training. We're going to have webinars and demonstrations and get everyone trained up ahead of time. So you're ready to go and know what to do. Lane, do you want to kind of touch on it a little bit real quick? Kind of the training and that we're going to do for folks and what that may look like and timelines?
Sure, Glenn. We are excited about the challenge system we're going to be rolling out. It's very intuitive. It does not require special technical skills or mapping skills. Just about anybody could walk up to it and submit challenges. But we are going to release a user guide on or around December 1st that we'll make available on our website. Following that, we'll have live training on December 13th. So be watching for invitations for that. But in addition to the live training, we will record the webinars and make those available on our website as well.
Yeah, thanks, Lane. Just wanted to reiterate for everyone that if we were going into this thing blind and if poor Sandy Martin and the her county committee up there in northern Arkansas had to do it with no training, it would be a problem. But we're going to get you trained up. We're going to have education and webinars and so forth, so everyone will be prepared ahead of time and be ready to go on day one. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
And I will also add, when you talk about challenge process, you'll have speed tests. I've sent the broadband office, and we'll probably have some more speed tests. There's certain speed tests you can use, and that's part of the challenge process. It's the speed test, certain times of the day, who's your provider if you don't have a provider, things like that. And I know the broadband office that'll be in their guide, and so everyone will understand what they need to do.
All right, so at this point, let's go ahead and open the floor. As always, you have access to our team. Today you have access to Philip and NTIA, the administration of the BEAD program at the federal level. So we want to open the floor to everyone and see if we have any interesting comments or questions about anything, about Philip's presentation, about Volume 1, about Volume 2 that's about to come out. Anything that you want to ask about today, we have plenty of time, so we'll open up the floor. And Philip just dropped his email address in the chat, and it's there for everyone. It's ppowell at ntia.gov. It's Philip's contact email, but it's also in the chat for everyone. And Andrew is also going to send out the slides to the group after the meeting, so you can have access to that. And we'll make sure everyone gets a copy of the slides from today as well.
I also wanted to add, I'm happy. My job, I cover the whole state of Arkansas. I'm happy to come to any meetings. It doesn't have to be a committee meeting. I'm happy to talk to anyone, anywhere in the state of Arkansas anytime. So please feel free to invite me to your area, and I'm happy to come to y'all and talk to y'all more about this program.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily have to do hand raisings today. If someone wants to jump in, just fire away. Andrew, they are able to unmute themselves, correct?
Yeah, you should be able to just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay.
Make sure. Yep, mic's on for everybody. So,
Okay. Very good. We'll give it a minute or two.
Thank you, Philip.
Glenn,
Yeah, go ahead. Was that Misty?
Yeah, I was just saying thank you. Like,
Okay.
I think Philip is like awesome. I loved him when he was doing like Farm Bureau. So I'm super excited that he's working with NTIA. I think he's an asset for Arkansas. I think everybody needs to utilize and really take advantage of this opportunity. But that's what I have to say. And the other things that I have to say, I don't know that I need to say while we're recording, because I just think that the county coordinator, the county committees, I just really wish that our county officials would take this seriously as a whole and really understand the importance and the impact that this has for our state.
Yeah, thanks, Misty. And look, I think, yeah, we've tried hard. Everyone knows we've hit the road to organize everyone. But you're right, we can always do more. And so I think that raises a great point of us trying to get in front of the county judges and mayors as much as we can. So we'll look to interact with the Association of Counties and the Municipal League as much as we can for the rest of the year and get in front of those folks as much as we can and just keep preaching about this topic. You know, we can, only do so much, but we'll keep trying. I think as much as our office can do, I would also kind of in his vein from a second ago, be voices on the ground and be advocates. And if you need us to come, like he said, if you want us to come back, even if you're a county that has a nice committee and you're active, if you feel like we need to come back to your area and to your county, let us know. We will come back. We will engage in more conversation. If we need to get certain folks in front of the group and present again, or keep communicating. Additionally, let us know. We will come back and we will talk to anyone that you need us to talk to and try to get everyone on board as much as possible with this thing. So just let us know.
Glenn, I had a question for Philip. This is Denise Russell from Northern Arkansas Telephone Company.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's been some confusion in the industries, I think, the ISP industry. What is the definition of high cost and what's the definition of extremely high cost? And it's kind of the understanding that NTIA will be determining the high cost locations and the state is determining the extremely high cost. My first question is that a correct understanding? And then if it is, when would NTIA release what the high cost locations are?
So do you want to take a first stab at that and then I'll follow up?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't have the answer to that. That's a good question. I know NTIA wants the states to have as much control over this as possible. That's my understanding right now. But I'll let Glenn might know more about this, but I'll let him follow up.
Yeah, so two things, they're distinctions, and you're right. I think there's been some probably confusion, not only in the industry, but across the country as a whole through all the stakeholder groups. So there's two different things. There's the high cost areas, okay? And then there's also something called an extremely high cost per location threshold. And they're fundamentally two separate things. So first, on the high cost kind of area, okay, those were defined by essentially it was an FCC/NTIA call at the federal level. That's actually already been done. There are the graphic we have that shows it was not very high resolution, so we're going to work to get that better image for everyone. And what that was specific to was that allows for the ACP program, for instance, instead of being a $30 per month benefit, if you're in one of the designated high cost areas of Arkansas, you actually would qualify for $75 on the ACP program. Okay, so that's sort of the first piece, and we'll work to get those locations out. It was actually less counties and areas than we thought it was going to be, but we'll work to get that information from NTIA again and send that out to everyone. Okay, so we'll work on that. But again, so when we're talking about the high cost locations, from my understanding, that was specific to allowing, for instance, the ACP to go from $30 to $75 in those specific areas of the state. Okay, and that's been declared already. That's like first topic. That's entirely separate from what's called the extremely high cost per location threshold, separate issue. On the extremely high cost per location threshold, what that does is that's going to be a part of the process when we run the grant application. So when we get to summer-ish next year and the state is running its grant application period for internet service providers to go build out and upgrade infrastructure, as we're receiving applications. So you're going to be able to read more about this next week when Volume 2 is released publicly. But we're going to have multiple rounds, basically. All right, we're going to have multiple what's called tranches of applications that are going to happen once the state broadband office receives all of the applications that we get in. We're going to analyze that and do some calculations and figure out what the costs are looking like, okay, from all the applications that we've received. At that point, the state will then declare an extremely high cost per location threshold. All right, and that allows the state office some flexibility during the grant application process to perhaps reduce or waive some of the 25% matching requirements, to look at some alternative forms of technology if things are just so expensive in certain locations. So really, they're two distinct things. One is, the federal government has declared some high cost areas. That allows for instance, the ACP to be a little more beneficial for people going from $30 to $75 in those locations. That's one topic. The whole separate topic is this high cost threshold, which will be part of the grant round that we run. It's sort of a mechanical process on the state side. So really it's two separate issues, but they do get crossed up and it does get confusing. So we understand that. And we can actually, that's a good topic. We can actually work we can put out some more information on that for people.
As a follow-up on that, the other thing for high cost was supposedly that would allow you, if you were designated high, to get the match 25. Where does that fall into all the high cost definitions? Because that was in the NOFO, I think.
Yes, you're talking about waiving or reducing the match?
Right.
Okay.
If you have high cost locations.
Yeah, so I would say, so one is, it does no benefit to the state of Arkansas. I understand. It does no benefit for us to declare a high cost threshold ahead of time because we don't know what the market can do and what the market's going to look like. There may be some providers that would say, man, this area is so high cost, we can't do it with a 25% match. Maybe we could do it with 10%. Well, what if there's an ISP that it makes sense for them and they can come in and do a 50% match in that same area? We don't know yet. So we have to wait and see what the market does and let the competition happen. The way that we've designed the grant application process for our ISPs that you'll see the draft of likely next week when it goes public, it is very competitively designed. We have designed this thing in a way that fosters competition. There's going to be a lot of flexibility in how ISPs are able to design and submit applications to us. They're going to have a lot of freedom. And so it's going to drive, my point is it's going to drive competition. And so we want to see what the market does before we declare a high cost threshold for certain locations. But yes, it would, once we do that, there is the opportunity to look at reducing potential matches, but we don't know because we got to get there. And so we want to see what the market does first, and then we get that part of the process while we're in it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see. Go ahead, Rick. Good to see you this morning. Oh, you're on mute.
There we are. Good. I was saying thank you, Philip and Glenn, for everything y'all are doing. We appreciate the organization. These regular meetings are valuable. Um, as you two know, and some may not, I'm the director of community partnerships for Aristotle in Arkansas and some other states. One of the things that I've been able to do is I participate in the Saline County Broadband Committee as a member. And there's other counties that I participate just as an advisor or somebody on the wall. I was going to just suggest that as these broadband committees are looking at their composition, they consider having some ISP presence on their committee. I found, especially in Saline County, First Electric, Fidelity, and myself, we sit together. We are collectively working in a way where we realize that some areas may be better served by us and some places may be better served by one of the others. And it's been very valuable to have that transparent, open relationship about what we can do. And we all understand and agree that there may be some places, population density and things like this dictate where we get into a network, we may not be able to sustain that thing for 10 years just because the operational cost to support it. So I highly recommend, if it's not breaking any rules, that the county committees get some ISPs involved in their committees, because it's very valuable for us to be able to talk in an open forum about what we can and can't add to the solutions.
Oh yeah, very good note, Rick. You're right. There's nothing nothing sinister, nothing illegal when we put out the packet, the toolkit for folks. We gave some suggestions on folks that we would say should be part of the committees, if we were designing them, but we're not going to dictate to anyone. So yes, committees are free to have whoever and whatever entities they want on these committees, and we highly support that. So yes, if committees want to have ISP involvement, we would very much encourage that. So thank you. That's a good note.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, so Donnie said, any thoughts on regional applications for funding? Currently Cleveland County as a partner, willing to propose a 7 to 8 county coverage. Okay, so how would individual committees leverage our support behind a provider willing to propose nearly 10% of the state under their plan? Look, there's not going to be as far as I'm aware, in our current plan, there's not going to be a limit on the minimum area that a provider can have in one application. There's not going to be a maximum, area size that an ISP can or cannot do. So they're going to be free to design. Now, the state is going to have some puzzle pieces. All right, we're going to put out basically puzzle pieces for the whole state, and the ISPs are going to be able to take those puzzle pieces and design them in a way that makes sense for them. All right, so there's no, they can go as small as they want or as large as they want using those particular pieces. They can't go smaller than one piece, if that makes sense. But they can build them, beyond that one as however they would like, and submit as many different applications as they would like. So specifically to the question, if you're working there's a provider that you're talking to that is interested in doing 7 or 8 counties in technically one application, good for them. They're going to go up and compete against other applications, right? So If someone wants to do larger footprints on an application, more power to them. We hope it's competitive. And if it is, we're going to award the most competitive applications. And so we would encourage that. So how would an individual committee leverage our support behind a provider willing to propose nearly 10%? You'll see in the document as it comes out next week, it could be today, but likely next week, is there's going to be letters of support, okay, that can be, supported on behalf of a particular applicant and their project area. There's going to be certain folks and entities that can write a letter of support for a project. Okay, so what I would say when that comes out next week, find that, see who is allowed to do a letter of support, and make sure that your committee is engaging with those folks. So if a certain committee says we are 100% behind a certain project, then look at the list of folks that can write a letter, engage with them, talk with them about it, and encourage them to do that. But you're not going to be necessarily locked into one, right? So an individual who can write letters of support will be able to support more than one, right? So we're not going to hamstring anybody, is what I'm saying. So you'll see that when it comes out. We can take more questions on that at the next meeting. But yeah, so I would say leverage it that way. Because you're going to get points there's going to be points in the application process for letters of support. So the more letters of support they get, the more points they would receive up to a certain cap. Okay. So I would try to leverage your relationships that way.
Glenn,
Good questions this morning.
Glenn, it's Jason Hanson with
Hey, Jason.
To the letters of support, do those need to come from public officials, or can those even come from residents of an area, or how does that?
Yeah, so yeah, you'll see it in the document, the listing. There are state officials that are eligible to write a letter of support. There are county officials that are eligible to write a letter of support, and there are municipal officials that are able to write a letter of support. The common thread amongst all the folks that can do letters of support, they're all elected officials, okay, by the people. And so whether it's at the state, the county, or municipal level, you'll see when the list comes out that we wanted to maintain some continuity and some similarities across the board. So they're all elected by the people in some manner at some level. But that list will be there when you see it next week.
Thanks.
Yeah. Again, good questions. Good questions today.
FYI, I'm trying to plan something. Y'all are gonna need to come down and see us.
All right. What are we doing, Misty?
I don't know. We'll have a little, I don't know, a congratulations wedding party.
Oh,
That's
no.
what we'll do. That's what we'll do.
No, if I recall correctly, look, it's I'm fortunate in that, I came to Arkansas for the opportunity, and when I first got here, I met Julie. Actually the first week I was in Arkansas, I met her, and talked every day since, and now I'm married 3 weeks. I moved to Arkansas 15 months ago. You never know what opportunity is going to come before you. Always just be ready, when an opportunity comes by. And I want to again talk about, our team, Lane and Andrew and Kimberly and Emma now, and now Philip, right? He's part of the team, but he's a federal employee, right? He works for the feds. We have a really, really great staff in Arkansas. When we can only get done, we can get done because of our people and our staff. And Lori was with us, right, for a little while, and her being here enabled us to get on the road and do the county road show. Without her, we couldn't have got that done. She laid a great foundation for work that we're doing. And again, I give a lot of kudos to our team. We have a great staff. We have a great team. It's not, trust me, it's a group effort, and it's not all me. It's our people as a team unit, and we do a great job collectively for Arkansas, and I'm very, very proud of our team. So, but yeah, Missy, if I recall correctly, don't you won an AC, your group won an ACP outreach award, right, from FCC?
No,
No, I thought y'all did. Okay,
no, we just do outreach. I mean,
okay,
are you like, we didn't do the outreach award. We participated in ECF.
okay.
But
You
we
want
did
me to-
not do ACP, like we didn't do an outreach award. We
Okay.
just have helped with
Okay.
the actual, we've
Okay.
continued to promote it and
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Let's do an ACP event with your group,
okay.
and we'll coordinate with one of the 5 entities in Arkansas that did receive an ACP outreach grant.
Mhm.
And let's work with you and have a big blowout and do an ACP event, and coordinate it with you and your team.
Okay.
And we'll support that. And I would call attention to those that are still left. This is going to come out, in a few weeks anyway. We want to work and set up sort of ACP outreach events with each of our county committees. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. We want to coordinate with you and try to get you connected with at least one of the entities in the state that received. There's some folks out there that received some money to do ACP outreach. All right, so we want to leverage that and get them with our committees. I think it's important. Let's do an ACP outreach event with each county committee that we have. And so we'll start working on that. And Misty, we'll start with your folks first. How about that?
Okay.
Awesome. Let's see, so we have an ISP. We'd love to connect with the county committees. If you have any information, send it our way. Okay, yeah, Alicia, what we can do is, I don't want to put everyone on blast. And so what we'll do is we can send you a listing of the digital navigators or the points of contact for each committee, and get y'all connected with them. And we'll do that. And Abby had to jump, so thank you, Abby. Talk with you next time. Now that I'm thinking about it, Andrew, we'll send, if we haven't done it, we maybe have, but let's send sort of the point person list for each committee. We'll send that to all of our ISPs. We'll just do a blanket communication for all of our.
Yeah, I
people.
can send that out probably Monday
Yeah,
because
we'll do that.
my work computer's out of charge. It's dead now. So
But you're working on a
the
holiday
other-
today. I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Philip, anything else top of mind for our folks? Remember this group, it started with our county broadband committee members. We've now expanded that list to include our mayors and county judges and members of the General Assembly and the Connectivity Coalition, and other folks. Anything top of mind before we hop off the call today for this group of stakeholders? No, all good. Okay. Lane, anything kind of top of mind for the folks?
Nothing I can think of at the moment.
All right. Well, again, volume 1 is still out there for public comment through next Saturday. So again, go to our website if you haven't already, download it, take a look at it, leave some comments for us. Volume 2 will be released in the next couple of business days. So as soon as that happens, we'll let everybody know. That'll also be available on the website, broadband.arkansas.gov, along with the comment form. So please download that, spread it to your friends, send it to your colleagues and church folks. And we need to get as many people reading and giving us feedback as we can, so we can make it better for Arkansas. If you have anything else, email us. We will get a date. I know it's Thanksgiving week, 2 weeks from now, so we'll figure out a time and date for the next one. We'll probably focus maybe on volume 2. We can have an open office hours, but want to probably take questions and talk through volume 2 with folks. So we'll do that next time, but we'll get a date and time out to everyone. And thanks for being here. We look forward to talking next time, and enjoy the Veterans Day holiday today and this weekend. And we thank those who do serve our country. Lane, veteran, served our nation. So we thank him for his service and all those veterans out there. And we'll see you next time. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.